January 1985. A caddy opens his player's golf bag at a California tournament and recoils from the smell. Inside the driver head cover sits a banana, black, rotting, untouched for 3 full months. The player had been fishing, working on his car collection, doing anything but practicing golf. That player was Bruce Lietzke, 13-time PGA Tour winner. How does someone win at the highest level while treating practice like a waste of time? That's exactly what we're here to find out. Bruce Allen Lietzke was born in Kansas City, Missouri in July of 1951. When he was 9 years old, his family moved to Beaumont, Texas, a blue-collar city better known for oil refineries than golf courses. Golf found Bruce early, and it found him through family. His older brother Dwayne worked as an assistant golf professional. When Bruce was just 5 years old, Dwayne took a set of adult clubs, cut them down to size, and handed them to his little brother. No formal lesson, no structured program. Just a kid, a pair of cut-down clubs, and a brother who saw something worth nurturing. That something turned out to be real. By 1968, Bruce won the Texas State Junior Championship. That result earned him a scholarship to the University of Houston at the time, the most dominant college golf program in the entire country. His roommate there was a young man named Bill Rogers, who would later win the British Open. But here is what matters most about this period. Despite training alongside future champions in one of the most competitive environments in American golf, Lietzke never developed an obsession with practice. He learned the game deeply, technique, course management, shot making, but he never confused hard work with endless repetition. That distinction would define everything that came after. After 4 years at Houston, Lietzke's senior season disappointed him. Not dramatically, no public collapse, no visible crisis, but enough. Enough to make a young man question whether he belonged at the professional level at all. So he made a decision that surprised everyone who knew him. He went home to Beaumont, put his clubs in a closet, and told people he was done competing. No farewell, no plan B. Just a quiet exit from the sport he had played since he was 5 years old. His father helped him find work as a night security officer at a local chemical plant. For the next 6 months, Bruce Lietzke, future 13-time PGA Tour winner, sat alone in the dark, guarding an industrial facility in southeast Texas. He later described the experience with his signature dry humor. Basically, he told journalist Jeff Root of Golf Week, "I chickened out, and about the job itself, I had a gun in one desk drawer and bullets in another. But both were locked, and they didn't give me a key." It sounds like a punchline. But those 6 months were, in fact, the turning point. Night after night, sitting in that chair, Lietzke arrived at a simple and clarifying conclusion. He did not want to spend the rest of his life on the night shift. Whatever doubt had sent him home, it was smaller than the alternative. He took his clubs out of the closet, he drove down to Florida, and he started over. Florida, 1974. Lietzke joins the mini tour circuit, the proving ground for young professionals who haven't yet earned their PGA Tour card. The courses are modest. The prize money is thin, but the wind is relentless. To handle it, Lietzke experiments. He tries to keep the ball low, flight it under the gusts instead of fighting them. In doing so, he accidentally changes the shape of his swing coming over the top, altering his club path without fully understanding what he's doing. The result surprises him. As he later told the Houston Chronicle, "I accidentally started coming over the top, trying to hit the ball low. All I know is that after about a month in Florida, all I could do was hit a fade. I didn't know why, but it was working pretty well, so I decided not to fight it." That decision to accept rather than correct became the foundation of his entire career. In golf, a fade is a controlled left-to-right ball flight. Compared to a draw, it tends to land more softly, hold its line more predictably, and crucially, stay out of trouble. For a man who had no intention of practicing his way out of problems, a reliable fade was the perfect weapon. It demanded consistency over power, precision over aggression. Lietzke didn't build his swing, He stumbled into it, and then he refused to touch it again. Lietzke earned his PGA Tour card in 1975. 2 years of steady, unspectacular progress followed. Then, in 1977, everything changed. At the Tucson Open in Arizona, Lietzke found himself in a playoff against Gene Littler, a veteran, a former U.S. Open champion, a man with decades of tour experience. The pressure was exactly the kind that breaks young players. Lietzke responded by rolling in a 65-foot birdie stroke from the fringe to win the title. Later that same year, he won again in Hawaii. 2 victories in his first full season as a winner. The tour had a new name to watch. What followed over the next several years confirmed this was no accident. 3 victories in 1981, his best single season, along with a top 4 finish on the money list and a place on the United States Ryder Cup team. He never finished below 74th on the money list across his entire career. Not once. But here is where Lietzke's story separates from every other success story in professional golf. In October of 1983, his son Stephen was born. In October of 1985, his daughter Christine arrived. And with their arrival, Lietzke made a decision that his fellow tour professionals found almost impossible to understand. He restructured his entire career around his family's calendar. From 1988 onward, he never played more than 20 tournaments in a single season. His peers were playing 30 or more. He stopped entering the U.S. Open entirely. It fell during summer, when his children were out of school, and that time belonged to them. The British Open, same story. He played it only 3 times in his entire career. He was completely unapologetic about it. "Nobody enjoys the off-season more than me," he told the Chicago Tribune in 1994. "November and December are holy months to me." To understand how radical this was, the PGA Tour rewards volume. More events mean more opportunities, more ranking points, more prize money. Every coach, every agent, every analyst would have told Lietzke he was leaving victories on the table. He heard all of it and went fishing anyway. You already know a banana was involved. Now let's talk about the man who put it there and what happened next. Al Hansen had been Lietzke's caddy long enough to know his players' habits. He knew Lietzke didn't practice much during the season. He knew Lietzke preferred fishing to the driving range. But when Lietzke told him at the end of 1984 that he would not touch his clubs again until the new season began in January, 3 full months away, Hansen simply didn't believe him. So Hansen devised a test. He took a banana, slipped it inside the head cover of Lietzke's driver, and said nothing. If Lietzke practiced even once during the off-season, he would find it. The banana would be his confession. Lietzke went home, he worked on his muscle car collection, he went fishing, he spent time with his family. The golf bag sat untouched in the corner of his garage, surrounded by vintage automobiles for the entire winter. January arrived. Lietzke grabbed his bag, flew to California for the Bob Hope Desert Classic, and handed his clubs to Hansen. The caddy reached for the driver, lifted the head cover. The banana was still there. Lietzke recalled the moment years later. "Al couldn't believe that I'd go the whole off-season and not practice. He figured he'd have the last laugh. Well, nobody was laughing. The banana was just nasty, all black and covered in fungus. It did something to the driver. It was a real wooden club, and I could never use it after that week. Then I had to throw the bag away. Every time I threw something away, I just glared at him." 2-time U.S. Open champion Curtis Strange, one of Lietzke's closest friends on tour, was asked about the story years later. His response was simple, and the best part of the story is, it's true. The banana story became golf legend. But what it actually reveals is something more serious than a punchline. Lietzke's swing was so technically sound, so grooved and repeatable, that 3 months away from the game changed nothing. He would show up in January, cold, unpracticed, and compete immediately at the highest level. As he explained it himself, it's human nature to want to be better. I don't want to be better. I want it to be exactly like it was yesterday. Most athletes spend their careers chasing improvement. Lietzke spent his protecting something he had already found. 1991, the PGA Championship at Crooked Stick in Indiana. Lietzke plays some of the best golf of his career and finishes as runner-up, beaten by a then unknown long hitter named John Daly, who had entered the tournament as an alternate and proceeded to overpower the field in a way no one had seen before. It was the closest Lietzke ever came to winning a major championship, and his reaction afterward revealed everything about how he saw the game. "It seems to mean more to other guys," he said. "To me, it is another tournament on my schedule." Not resignation, not bitterness, just an honest statement from a man whose priorities were already settled long before he arrived at Crooked Stick. Curtis Strange, who won the US Open twice and spent years trying to understand his friend's thinking, put it plainly, "I used to get on him about not trying to qualify for the US Open. He was a heck of a driver of the golf ball." Strange was right. Lietzke had the technical ability to compete in every major every year. His fade was reliable under pressure. His ball striking was among the best on tour. The results, when he chose to show up, proved it consistently. But Lietzke had watched what happened to players who climbed all the way to the top, and he had seen it up close. His college roommate, Bill Rogers, won the British Open in 1981. The aftermath was brutal. The appearance demands, the media pressure, the expectation. Rogers never found his footing again afterward. Lietzke drew a quiet conclusion from that experience. "I've seen what happens to people who win majors," he said, "and I've always liked to stay low on the radar screen." It really brought Bill down. This was not a man rationalizing failure. This was a man who had studied the cost of maximum ambition and decided with full clarity that the price was higher than he was willing to pay. In 2003, Bruce Lietzke arrived at Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio, for the United States Senior Open. He was 51 years old. His best years on the PGA Tour were behind him. Most of the golf world had moved on to younger names, bigger hitters, newer stories. Lietzke went out and beat Tom Watson by 2 strokes to win the title. It was his only major championship. It was also his final victory as a professional golfer. And in many ways, it was the perfect ending to a career built entirely on his own terms. One last reminder that the man who skipped practice to go fishing could still beat the best in the world when he decided to show up. After that, Lietzke gradually stepped back from competitive golf. He and his wife Rose left their suburban Dallas home and moved to a ranch spanning 628 acres southeast of the city near Athens, Texas. The land was full of wild hogs and bass-filled lakes. There was room enough for a golf course, but Lietzke never built one. Golf was what he did. It was never who he was. He filled his days with the things that had always mattered most: fishing, his museum-worthy collection of vintage muscle cars, time with Rose, with his son Stephen, with his daughter Christine. A quiet life, lived loudly on his own terms. Then, in April of 2017, everything changed. Lietzke was diagnosed with glioblastoma, an aggressive, malignant brain tumor with no known cure. For a man who had always described himself as perfectly healthy, the news was incomprehensible. He described it himself with the same directness he brought to everything. It's a bolt of lightning going from a perfectly healthy specimen to finding out there's a life-threatening tumor in my brain. He underwent surgery to remove a tumor described as the size of a golf ball. Chemotherapy followed, radiation followed. And still, in the months between treatments, Lietzke went fishing. He traveled to Washington to attend the National Prayer Breakfast. He stayed, as much as he possibly could, the same man he had always been. He died on the 28th of July, 2018, 10 days after his 67th birthday at his ranch in Athens, Texas, surrounded by the life he had built. Curtis Strange, who had hunted and fished alongside him for decades, spoke for everyone who knew him. Bruce fought the horrific cancer glioblastoma with all he had. We hunted, we fished, but most importantly, we all laughed with Leakey. He was truly one of the good guys, and will be missed. Bill Rogers, his college roommate, his closest friend, the man who had watched Lietzke build something quietly extraordinary over 50 years, offered the words that perhaps captured it best. To make it work like he did a great family, a 628-acre Texas ranch, anyone would have liked to have done it like Bruce. He did it the way he wanted to do it, and in truth, he lived out his dream. 13 victories on the PGA Tour, 7 more on the Senior Tour, a major championship won at 51, a career spanning 5 decades. And through all of it, the wins, the off-seasons, the fishing trips, the family vacations taken instead of major championships, Bruce Lietzke never once pretended to be something he wasn't. He was not the greatest golfer of his generation. He would have been the first to tell you that. But he may have been the wisest. In a sport that demands obsession, he chose balance. In a world that rewards sacrifice, he refused to sacrifice what mattered most. And he still won not just tournaments, but something far harder to achieve. He won on his own terms, every single time.